What's up, everybody? Old Man Winter 8. And first off, I wanted to thank everybody that watched the other FASE video that I did talking about the system, how it works, how it's applied to a two-strap binding, and all the benefits. I thought to myself, hey, this video is probably going to do really well because nobody had been putting out content about exactly how it works, but I had no idea it was going to do as well as it did. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the description down below. But again, thank you to everybody that watched, especially the people that liked, subscribed, and definitely the people that left a comment. And this video is kind of a little bit of a follow-up. I wanted to go through a lot of the most important and most asked questions and comments that people left to kind of just put all of those in one place. So right off the bat, these bindings, big question people always want, when can I get some? So they will be available in fall of 2025. They'll start shipping to retailers and they will be available right before the 2025 season. So really, when you think about it, only a few months away from when the 24-25 season is ending for everybody. And then next up, the one thing I want to definitely say, and it's a lot of people are having a hard time wrapping their brains around it, and I get it, it's fine, I'm not throwing shots at you, but FASE is not a binding. The FASE is a system. So when it comes down to it, and we're looking especially at the bindings I have right here, this is the 32 team binding FASE edition, although it only comes in the FASE edition. But then when we look at bindings like the Roam Katana and the Katana Blaster, again, this is the Katana FASE. This is the Battalion Blaster FASE. They still have standard versions without the FASE, but other than that, the only difference is the FASE system that just makes it faster to get in and out of your bindings. So again, there's no such thing as a FASE binding. There is a binding that features the FASE. Just like you don't talk about BOA boots, you talk about a specific boot that has the BOA system or a jacket that has Gore-Tex. FASE is a system, not a binding. And that really brings us to the other thing that people have a super hard thing wrapping their brains around and remembering is that this is not a step in, step on rear entry binding. This is a two-strap binding. And a lot of people are comparing it to the performance of any of those other bindings. And that's the big thing, is you cannot compare these bindings to any of those bindings when it comes to the performance. The FASE system itself is just there to get you in and out of the binding faster. Nothing about this actually locks you into the binding, and that's what really sets it apart from all of the step in, step on, and rear entry bindings. So again, when you are comparing these bindings to any other bindings on the market, you can only compare them to two-strap bindings when it comes to the overall performance and how they ride. Again, we go back to like the Roam Katana. If you flip this thing up and your foot is inside and you're ratcheted down and ready to go, this does not ride any different than the Roam Katana without the FASE. Likewise with the Blaster. So again, when you are looking at this system, I know it is hard to not compare it. And yes, these are going to compete in the marketplace with a lot of those step in, step on systems because it's an easier way to get into a two-strap binding. But again, I can't stress it enough. When it comes down to it, the performance of this is that of the performance of a two-strap binding. And then when we start talking about the specific performance things, there definitely been a lot of questions, a lot of speculations about things that could happen when you're getting in and out of your bindings. One thing that I saw is a lot of people talking about getting your pants caught on it, but that's not an issue. Your pants can't get caught up in this system. When you go to put your foot into this, you're going in on top of the Highback here. It's not going behind here. You would have to do something super weird or have pants that were outlandishly baggy at the bottom, at which you should just buy new pants that could go over the top of this thing for it to get caught in this system. But it's everything about this is behind the Highback. And when that Highback flips back, again, just a couple degrees, just so you can get your foot in and out and underneath the strap easily, there's no way for your pants to actually get caught up in that system because where that lever attaches to that pin on the Highback is behind the Highback. It's not in front of it. And another big thing that a lot of people are talking about with that system, especially with that lever, is they want to know about clogging issues. So again, when we talk about the binding, can't reiterate it enough, it's a standard two-strap binding. Just like with all of those bindings, the ratchets and the footbeds, all of that is designed to help stay clear and not freeze up on you while you're riding, just like any other two-strap binding on the market. And then when we go to the auto back system, the pin on the back, this is just a solid piece. And one thing that I found out on accident as I was trying to figure this whole system out is this thing is actually metal. This is a solid piece of metal. I think it's made out of a steel, so it is crazy strong. That's not gonna break, but most importantly, that's not gonna freeze up as it's not a moving part. But the part that is the moving part is that lever in the heel. And how that is put in there is a basic pin with a super strong spring. And this is essentially the exact same thing as the spring and the pin inside a ratchet binding that makes it snap back into place. So one thing about this, I've ridden it in spring conditions, I've ridden it in sub-zero conditions, I've ridden it in just about every condition out there, and I have not had any issues with anything freezing or getting clogged up at all, especially in this heel piece. And even if there was a 1 in a million reason that that would happen, I have to believe that the force of your boot stepping down and hitting this lever and all of your body weight pushing down is gonna be plenty to pop this thing free and get it out of the way. There's no way that this pin is going to be able to freeze up enough that you're not gonna be able to get your boot into this binding. But again, I've ridden it in the majority of conditions that you can ride this binding in, and I've had zero issues with any clogging or freezing. And then probably the biggest question I'm getting, and the number one comment, is people want to know if you can rotate the Highback. And if you're not sure what that is, it's basically people referring to taking the Highback and being able to rotate it side to side to match it up with your heel side edge. Obviously, especially with a little bit more of a symmetrical Highback, when you rotate the binding, the Highback is going to rotate also. And people want to be able to rotate the Highback the opposite way and have it match up a little bit better with your heel side edge. And this is so when you're leaning on your heel side edge, you're getting more Highback to push on and get you a little bit more leverage onto your heel side edge. Now, before you guys start going to the comments and start tearing me apart, I'm not saying that doesn't work. Obviously, more Highback behind you can definitely get you onto your heel side edge a little bit better, and you're utilizing a little bit more of your Highback. But 90% of the riders out there are not riding past 21 degrees. And you'll find with the majority of Highbacks, and I'm talking about symmetrical Highbacks, most of the asymmetrical Highbacks can have a little bit more going in one direction and can utilize and basically sit against your boot a little bit better. But symmetrical Highbacks at 21 degrees or less, you don't need to rotate it. Take your binding, set it on your board, and if you go all the way up to 21 degrees and you have a Highback that is symmetrical and you look straight down over the top, I think you'd be surprised to notice that over half of your Highback is still behind your boot and on your heel side edge. There's very, very little of the Highback that is actually inside your edge. It's a thing that a lot of people think that they absolutely have to do, and they really get in their heads about it. But again, look at the facts on it, look at how your binding is set up, and I really think that 90% out of the riders out there, no matter what skill level you are, you're not gonna notice a huge, huge difference rotating your Highback 2 or 3 degrees if your binding angle mounted on the board is not past that 21 degree mark. So again, to all those people that are going crazy about having their Highback rotated, I get it, it's fine. I'm not saying you're wrong. I myself used to be somebody that rotated my Highbacks all the time to get them set. But then after I started demoing a lot of boards and riding a lot of different stuff, I didn't have time to really get that set. And I'll have to say that I have ridden bindings with the Highbacks rotated and with them not rotated, and I'm riding about 15 to 18 degrees usually on my front foot, and I cannot say I've ever really noticed a difference. It was just something that, again, somebody was like, oh, you should do this. I was like, that makes sense. When it comes down to it, again, if you're not riding heavy angles and you're not cranking turns super, super hard, it's not a huge, huge issue. So beyond those performance questions and comments, there are 2 other things that I wanted to note. I'm getting a lot of comments, people wanting to know which FASE binding they should get because they really want to try this system out. And I will have a video coming out a little bit later on. And it's really kind of a funny video because, again, the FASE is just a system on a 2-strap binding. So if you think about it, taking the FASE out, I'm really just comparing 4 random bindings. But since it is the first year and people do want to try this system out, there definitely is a difference and there definitely is a specific binding for specific riders. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was something that really wasn't worth putting in the video because I only got a few comments about it, but there's something that were in the back of my head. And then one day I was out riding with my buddy and he said the same thing. We're at the bottom of the hill. He looked at it and he said, I've been riding for 30 plus years. I don't have any problem getting in and out of my bindings. He's like, this is not fixing a problem. And that was the thing that kind of stuck in my head. We literally went up the lift, we rode down. When I got down to the bottom of the hill and I was in the lift line watching him ride up to me, it clicked into my head. Yeah, getting in and out of your bindings is not a problem. But this is not here to fix a problem, it's there to add a convenience. And when it comes down to it, a 2-strap binding with the FASE system is exponentially faster to get in and out of no matter what skill level rider you are, no matter how many days you've got on the snow.